The Madman! Welcome to Trump Reviews Witchwood Edition. Got a good one for you today because I've not only actually crafted a bunch of decks already, I've got the lists if you want to get a quick head start in the links below. You can also find out how the rating system works in the links below. It's a little bit different than how most people would rate them.
Hey.
I rate them according to how much play they're going to see in the meta. Starting with Druid, we've got Witchwood Apple. At no time in Hearthstone have we ever had a 2-mana card that puts 3 cards into your hand. Originally thought to be completely terrible, it seems like this card might actually enable the entire Hand Druid archetype. And I don't think it's a joke. I think Hand Druid is going to be a solid tier 3. Potential will be tier 2. So therefore I rate Witchwood Apple 3 stars. For Druid of the Scythe, I just think that both forms are pretty bad. I don't think Druid is looking for 3 mana deal 4 in the case of this rushing guy. And the 3 mana 2/4 taunt should be the consolation prize if you don't have anything to rush. I don't see it happening, so 1 star. Witching Hour is a really interesting card. I don't believe there's been as cheap an effect printed as Witching Hour to summon a specific minion that's died. It is too difficult to get the exact minion, the exact beast that you want to resummon with Witching Hour, I think. I couldn't get it to work. 1 star. 1 turn kills are possible, but very difficult if you don't have the Death Knight or the Spreading Plague. Ferocious Howl! So I think all of these big Druid cards actually live together and die together. So I'm rating this a 3 star as well, since I'm pegging the Hand Druid deck at tier 3. Seems like it has some real potential. Forest Guy, though, is going to be the one card in Hand Druid that I don't actually see being good. Stat line is too weak, symmetric effect, the opponent gets to use their card first. 1 star. Whispering Woods. Alongside all of these Hand Druid cards, I think Whispering Woods is a really good addition. It'll commonly be summoning 7 Wisps on turn 4. And there are quite a few decks out there which are actually not going to be able to deal with your Wisps. Whispering Woods on 4, Branching Paths on 5, potentially attack for 21, feels good. Boomstag! I tried to build an odd cost deck. It sucked. 1 star. Duskfallen Aviana. Really dangerous. The opponent gets the first benefit of a 0 cost card. Really tough to pull off. I think too tough to pull off. 1 star. Bewitched Guardian. I think this card actually fits just perfectly into Hand Druid as well. You have your Twilight Drake essentially, and it has taunt. 3 stars. And finally Splintergraft. It's just too cute. I don't really see it in action. 1 star. So that's Druid. I see 2 main archetypes in Druid. One is the Spiteful Druid from the past because Spiteful Summoner is hugely buffed with the old gods rotating out, so the 10 cost pulls have been greatly improved. And the other archetype I see is actually Hand Druid. And now for Hunters, starting with Hunting Mastiff. Hunting Mastiff is one of a long line of Echo cards that disappoint. I think this just costs a little bit too much, so 1 star. Ratchap. It's basically 2 mana do nothing a lot of the time because it can be easily played around if it ever comes into the meta. So 2 mana do nothing, I don't like it. 1 star. Duskhaven Hunter I actually did think was going to be a good card, but I finally come around to this swapping in your hand mechanic. This was one of the cards that I thought was definitely better, but as is, if you're top decking and you draw 3 mana 2/5, oh boy, can you not really wait a turn. 2 stars though, just because it might still see experimentation in this Baku Hunter deck. Toxmonger. I think this is a really interesting card. It enables the Quest Hunter a bit. I don't think the Quest Hunter is going to be very good this time around, even with the support. So I'm rating Toxmonger 2 stars. There are some really cool plays you can make like Toxmonger Elven Archer or Toxmonger Stone Tusk Boar, but all in all, I think it's more cute than good. Houndmaster Shaw is clearly really powerful. The stat line is extremely strong, the effect is very good, and it's a very strong effect on a high health minion. That said, I could not really build a deck that I thought was going to be that powerful. Tier 3 mid-range hunter maybe? And Shaw will be in that deck. So I rate Shaw a 3 star card. It's one of the best cards in the mid-range hunter deck, but because the mid-range hunter deck doesn't seem to be very powerful, Shaw is getting the shaft. Wing Blast! Similar to Shaw, this is going to be a very good card in Midrange Hunter. 1 mana, deal 4, yes please. This could also be a great spell for Spell Hunter. I think it will see play there. I'm going to rate this a 4-star card. Dire Frenzy is a really interesting card, but all in all, I found this to be too much work. This is the type of card that I usually give 2 stars to, in the sense that I think people will try it out and then they'll find it doesn't work. In this case, I think they're going to try it out and find it doesn't work so quickly that they're just gonna drop it, so 1 star. Valbrood Skitter. That's 5 mana, slightly worse than Assassinate for Hunter. Assassinate ain't very good. 1 star. Carrion Drake. It's actually decent, but decent doesn't cut it these days. Carrion Drake, 1 star. And no, I don't think a Dragon Hunter deck works. Which brings us to Emrys, 1 star. But do play Emrys if you really want to crush your opponent. Midrange Hunter gets a few toys. Wing Blast, Handmaster Shaw. Spell Hunter gets Wing Blast. Quest Hunter gets reinvigorated with Tuxmonger. A lot of interesting stuff, but is it enough? I think the big surprise is, even though there's only 1 card that might make a difference in Hunter, and it's not even in the Hunter class, that card will be so impactful that it'll push a certain archetype of Hunter up to tier 1. You'll have to stay tuned and see what it is though. Mage gets some very interesting things, starting with Archmage Arugul. 2 mana, 2/2, with a really powerful ability. If it's on the board, your opponent must kill it, otherwise you get so much value off of it. So therefore I should rate Arugul 4 stars before moving on. Where Arugul really shines is with Book of Specters. Draw 3 cards for 2 mana, holy cow, we have never seen anything that good before. Well, discard any spells drawn, but the good news is you can certainly run it in a deck with spells still. 4 stars, Book of Specters. Where is Book of Specters and Arugul going to be run? It's going to be run in some sort of minion heavy mage, possibly elemental mage, and then quite potentially other mages as well. And the sheer amount of value you can get just boosts these 2 cards so highly. Snap Freeze! It's better Shatter, and still not very good yet. But someday, when there's more freeze, could be good. 1 star. Black Cat. I thought that Odd Mage was good before I even saw Black Cat, and then Black Cat was there, and Black Cat was absolutely amazing. I think Odd Mage is going to be a tier 2 deck, and so I'm going to rate Black Cat 4 stars. Cinderstorm. It's Arcane Missiles with +2 missiles for +2 mana. Boy, is that a bad deal. 1 star. Vex Crow. I think this could be the next Flamewaker. This could be the card that Tempo Mages use in order to replace all of the secret synergy they lost. 5 stars for me. Play this card alongside Arcane Missiles, Mirror Image, and Breath of Cindergosa. I could see it happening. Arcane Keysmith has a lot of versatility in that you discover secrets, but I mean, the secret that you want to discover, you only get a 3/8 chance of getting Explosive Runes. And the chance of getting Explosive Runes or Counterspell, which are pretty much the 2 secrets that you would want to be running main deck right now, roughly 60%. Looks like it could go into a variety of mage decks, and for that reason I'm going to give it 3 stars, but I don't really see where it goes, to be honest. Curio Collector seems really terrible, 1 star. Bonfire Elemental. I theory crafted up a Bonfire Elemental deck, an Elemental deck I mean, for mage, and I think it's about tier 3, so I rate Bonfire Elemental 3 stars. And finally, Toki, Time Tinker. Clearly meant for some sort of grinder mage, some sort of control mage, but for those decks I consider Elise better, and even Cindergosa should be better. So Toki, 1 star for you. The mage actually gets a lot of interesting tools. There's going to be an odd mage out there, there's going to be elemental mage. Odd mage seems like it's going to have a lot of overlap with big spell mage, but big spell mage will also be a deck. This Book of Specters, draw 3, it should be eventually really insane, I have to imagine. And I'm really interested in seeing whether or not Vex Crow is as good as I think it is. For Paladin, we've got a new secret, Hidden Wisdom, and similar to Rat Trap, it's 1 mana, do nothing. 1 star. Cathedral Gargoyle. Paladin currently doesn't have the support for this. Someday it could be good, but Dragon Paladin is currently not a thing. 1 star. Sound the Bells. So I'm a little hesitant to rate this card this low just because apparently there's some murmurings from Purple that this is actually a good card. You can spread it out as flexibility. But I'm just not seeing it. I just keep looking at it and I'm like, Kings, but worse. Yes, you can split it up after you play the Call to Arms, but is it really that good? It's so much worse than Spike Ridge Steed on 6 mana. I don't see it. So I'm gonna rate it 1 star, and I'm prepared to be wrong, but I'm prepared to accept the rewards for being right also. Rebuke. Everyone has good memories of Lothab, but Lothab was good because the Rebuke came on a 5/5 body. This one could very well be 2 mana, do nothing. I'm rating this 2 stars only because I actually think it'll see some amount of play, maybe as a 1-of in these aggro paladin decks before, in some decks, like enough decks before like getting phased out. Paragon of Light. For a deck to buff a card, that's generally going to be some sort of tempo deck. Tempo decks generally do not want Taunt or Lifesteal. It's not really that valuable to them. So 1 star on this 3 mana 2/5. The Glass Knight is a card that I can see put into many different Paladin decks. With Rallying Blade rotating out, it seems like we're going to revert back to the good old True Silver Champion as our weapon of choice. And even with only that weapon restoring health, I think the Glass Knight is going to see play across a lot of different Paladin decks. I'm rating this a 5-star card. I think that a 4 mana 4/3 Divine Shield is just a strong stat line, even if you don't restore any health. It's very reminiscent of Piloted Shredder in the case that they kill the Shredder and you actually get another 4/3. That's kind of like the Glass Knight. They break the Divine Shield and hey, it's a 4/3. Super bonus brownie points for actually giving it Divine Shield again, which will happen every once in a while. Bellringer Sentry, I think, rings in another era for this Call to Arms Paladin deck. So there's a lot rotating out of Dude Paladin, there's a lot rotating out of Murloc Paladin. And I think Bellringer Sentry steps in and adds in a pretty big package with Bellringer Sentry and running like about 5 secrets. Even though they're all just classic secrets, and even though they're not nearly as good as Avenge when the heyday of Mysterious Challenger was around, I think Bellringer Sentry still carries the day. So I'm rating this card 5 stars. Ring in the new era of Paladin. Prince Liam, which would normally never get this high a rating, I'm also assigning a 5-star rating because I see the aggro Paladin deck running the Bellringer Sentry and then having like these 5 secrets and then also having a few 1-drops. If you miss on drawing the Sentry, you want to play that Liam and you want to avoid drawing all the 1-drops once you get to turn 5. You would rather have legendary minions. So you play the Liam on turn 5. It's your backup plan. I realize this is a pretty dangerous call. Could be very wrong, but I'm sticking my head out on this one. Ghostly Charger. I'm giving this a 2-star rating mainly just because I see some synergy with Ashmore. Gets you the rush card. Ashmore could be played in Paladin because there's some death rattles you want like Tyrion, lifesteal that you might want like the Chillblade. Put that entire package in a mid-range Paladin deck. Yeah, maybe. So 2 stars for the potential, I suppose. And finally, Silver Sword. I think you should simply run Vinecleaver instead, so I'm rating this a 1 star. I think Paladin is going to continue to thrive with this Call to Arms style of deck that of aggression that they've built, with some opportunity for some mid-range Paladin action and perhaps an even Paladin deck. We start off Priest with a very cool card, Chameleos, and I'm going to rate Chameleos 5 stars. I see it has potential across so many different types of priests, really strong in Control v Control matchups, and when you put this guy in Spiteful Priest, you can actually cast spells. Spy a little bit on the opponent. I don't actually put that much value on the spying part, but yes, certainly sometimes you get to find out whether or not they have that specific answer, and then you can play into it or you can play around it. Squashling. It's the Echo Voodoo Doctor. I don't think it's going to work out. 1 star. Divine Hymn. This card I know actually got a decent amount of hype, but I compare it with Circle of Healing, which costs 0, Binding Heal, which is still in, which costs 1 mana and restores 5 health to a friendly minion and yourself. That doesn't really see play, so I look at Divine Hymn and I make a call that this is a 1-star card. Not actually going to see play. Vivid Nightmare. There's been talks about putting this into some sort of Lyra, Radiant Elemental, Vivid Nightmare. Have 2 extra spells that Lyra creates. You spend 10 mana, but now you have 4 mana discount on your spells. Super Miracle Priest style thing. I don't think that's actually going to work because there's another super combo deck out there which probably crushes like any other super combo. But just because of the possibility, I guess, and just because it's theoretically good with Death Rattle minions, I'll give it 2 stars. Quartz Elemental! That's a 5 mana 5/8, but there's some mana drawback there. I'm not absolutely sure, but 1 star for me. Glitter Moth is an odd cost restriction, and I tried building an odd cost priest and boy did it suck. I think Glitter Moth isn't even good if it doesn't have the odd cost restriction, so 1 star. Holy Water. It's simply too slow. Anyways, 1 star. Lady in White. One of the more overrated cards in the set, in my opinion. Sure, it has some pretty big benefits, has some big buffs on some of these 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 cost minions, and even on things like Northshire Cleric and Tar Creeper. Sure, but even the Control Priest I didn't really see getting enough value from Lady in White as a card that you had to play first for 6 mana 5/5 and then buff your other stuff. So 2 stars. I think it's gonna see heavy experimentation and it's not gonna work out. Coffin Crasher. This is a really hyped card. A lot of people look at how good Possessed Lackey is, and I'm loath to make the same mistake as I did with Possessed Lackey. I call it Possessed Lackey a 1-star card. But this time around, I'm going to once again take a chance and say that Coffin Crasher, like Lady in White, is going to see experimentation. People are going to see that Spiteful Summoner Priest is way better because Spiteful Summoner has gotten way better. The lowest it can do is summon an 8/8. So it immediately comes a 4/4 and an 8/8 Coffin Crasher. You have to have this. You have to have the big card in your hand already, unlike Possessed Lackey. I don't see it. 2 stars. And finally, Nightscale Matriarch. Seems like a decent card, endgame dragon for the Control Priest. But there's so many other good dragons out there. I'm not entirely sure that the Matriarch is the one that's being run. 2 stars is my answer, because you can instead run a 7 mana 4/11 Taunt. So Priest, doesn't seem like they're getting that much. I don't think the Coffin Crashing thing is going to work out. I don't think the Lady in White thing is going to work out. Despite all of that, I think they still have quite a lot of viable decks. Spiteful Summoner got a major buff. The lowest you can summon is an 8/8. Rogue gets a new Burgle effect. Now you can pick opponents' pockets. And you can pick them a lot since this has Echo. But it turns out that it's too slow at pretty much every single mana cost that you could cast it on. It's inefficient. And even though there is some Burgle type synergy, I don't think this is the card that sees play. Especially since I actually think there's exactly 1 Tempo Rogue deck out there that'll be good. Ah, crap, I gave it away. I said Tempo Rogue. Anyways, 1 star. Cheap Shot. I don't think it's any good. 1 star. Face Collector. So this is an interesting one. I had this at 1 star for the longest time until I finally built a Tempo Rogue deck. And Face Collector actually combines really well with Test Greymane. So you have approximately a 50-50 chance of discovering a non-rogue, non-neutral legendary minion. And boy is it incredible value if you cast Test Greymane after casting any other class's legendary minion. So for that reason, I'm actually giving Face Collector a 4-star rating, as I think that Tempo Rogue is going to be tier 1, and I think Face Collector is kind of a stretch in making that deck, but I'm gonna stand by my bold prediction. Cutthroat Buccaneer. Well, for those of you who still want to play with your Kingsbane deck, this replaces Naga Corsair. For that reason, I guess I'll give it a 2-star rating, even though I think Kingsbane is a pretty bad deck. Blink Fox. Really efficient card. 3 mana 3/3 doesn't lose you card advantage. 5 stars. This is part of the equation that makes Tempo Rogue viable, I'd say. Mistwraith. I'm very bearish on all of these Echo cards. I think the Rogue ones are not very good. So therefore, I'm going to give this card a 1 star. Wanted. Even if Miracle Rogue were a good thing, and some pros are apparently calling Miracle Rogue tier 1 with the rotation, I don't believe that at all. I think Miracle Rogue is going to suck. Almost regardless, at least. I think most people still think that Wanted is bad, even if they think Miracle Rogue is good. 1 star for me. Spectral Cutlass. Even though I said Blink Fox is good, and that'll add a card from another class, and even though I think Hallucination will be played, I still don't see Spectral Cutlass as good. I'll give this a 1 star. Cursed Castaway. 6 mana, deal 5, and kinda draw a card is a lot like Starfire, and that's why it should in theory not be good, right? But the combo cards in your deck tend to be really good. Vilespine, SI7, Edwin, and I found that the particular Tempo Rogue deck that I built didn't have very many 6-drops in it. So Cursed Castaway, I did put 1 into this deck. I'm going to give Cursed Castaway a 3-star rating as a possible card in this deck. And then we rounded out with Tess Greymane, who is already an 8 mana 6/6, so before you see this replay every card from another class you've played this game and think that you have to go completely wild, she's already good with just a few. And that's the reason why I rated Face Collector highly. It's possibly why I think Blink Fox is even better. It's why I'm going to be running Hallucination in my Rogue decks, which is already alright. As long as you play just 1 minion, really, from another class, then Tess Greymane is already going to be decent enough value. Even though the Lich King is also run on 8, and I think Tess Greymane can stand by the Lich King's side. I'll rate Tess 5 stars. So I think this is the great rebirth of the Tempo Rogue style of play. Keleseth on 2 still, and with a certain neutral minion, which is really, really good in Rogue, and actually in my top 10 list, you've got some strong follow-ups. Shaman, we start off with a pretty exciting spell, Zap. I think it's a pretty good card, but it's tough to fit into the specific Shaman deck that I think will be good. So anyways, at the end of the day, I'm rating it 3 stars, because at the end of the day, even though this is 0 mana, it is still 1 mana deal 2, which might not be that good. We'll see. Witch's Apprentice. It's the Babbling Book for Shaman. And being a 0/1 instead of a 1/1 is a really big deal. Enough of a big deal that I think it's only going to be 1 star. Blazing Invocation. Journey Below didn't even see that much play, even though it could be a Rogue Enabler. So for a similar reason, I don't think Blazing Invocation will see play. 1 mana tax to find something just isn't quite good enough. Especially since there's so many Battlecry minions you could get. Anyways, Blazing Invocation, 1 star. Mercspark Eel. If you want to give yourself a headache, you can try to build an even cost Shaman deck. I don't recommend it. 1 star. Ghostlight Angler. At every single mana cost, it's a bad deal. Works for the Shaman quest, but calling the finishers is rotating out, so 1 star. Frozen Might. 2 stars. Card itself seems strong, but the Elemental Shaman deck currently is weak. And Keleseth is actually better for it. Totem Cruncher. It's really, really bad. 1 star. Bogshaper. I originally thought that this could be a 1 of an elemental, but after constructing the elemental deck, I found it very low on spells. And I also found the Bogshaper a little bit unwieldy. I'll just get it off of the Servant of Kalamos if I need it, I suppose. 1 star. Hagatha the Witch. Given her hero power, you certainly want to play it in a deck with a lot of minions, so it seems like a natural fit for Elemental Shaman. And I did, in fact, put her in Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman I find to be a tier 4 deck. I'm putting Hagatha the Witch still at 3 stars, just because she's really good in that deck. But also because I think she has some potential in this Shudderwalk deck. Although I will state pretty specifically that I don't think you should put her in the Shudderwalk deck. And finally, Shudderwalk. Big game changer for Shaman. The way that a Shaman deck actually makes it to tier 1 again. Before playing your Shudderwalk, you must play a Serenite Chain Gang. You must play a Life Drinker. You must play either Murmuring Elemental into Grumble, returning your Murmuring Elemental to your hand, hence it costs 1, or play a Fireplume Harbinger, hitting the Murmuring Elemental so that the Murmuring Elemental costs 1, and at a later time, anytime, you can play Grumble alongside anything else. So now, in your Battlecry bank, you have Serenite Chain Gang, you have Life Drinker, and you have Grumble. You've got your Murmuring Elemental costing 1 in your hand, and you have Shudderwalk in your hand. you cast Murmuring Elemental and then Shudderwalk. But wait, you say, Shudderwalk's battle cries are random. Well, that's why we have the Murmuring Elemental, to ensure that no matter what the result, you're going to end up with a 1-mana Shudderwalk in your hand. So it doesn't matter if you get unlucky and you don't get the Serenite Chain Gang to copy Shudderwalk. By the way that works is that Shudderwalk copies Shudderwalk, so you have another Shudderwalk in play. Or if you get unlucky and then have the Grumble effect go off first, and then Shudderwalk copies itself, because you have Murmuring Elemental copying Shudderwalk, so the battle cry goes off twice. So therefore, even if you have the Grumble effect go off, then that means the second time around, you can either have the Serenite Chain Gang effect go off again first, and then you grumble back 2 Shudderwalks in your hand, or maybe you have the Grumble effect go off, returning the Shudderwalk to your hand, and then you have the Serenite Chain Gang effect go off, thus creating 2 Shudderwalks. And then you'll end up with some combination of Shudderwalks in play and having dealt 6 damage to the opponent and healed 6. Finally, now you have a 1-mana Shudderwalk in your hand, and whenever you play Shudderwalk, you're going to return all their Shudderwalks into your hand, but most importantly, you deal 3 damage and you heal 3. So you play 10 Shudderwalks the next turn, you deal 30, you heal 30, beautiful. So whew, that was quite a mouthful, but needless to say, I think that Shudderwalk will be 5 stars. Shaman class as a whole, I think, doesn't get that much stuff. Zap's gonna be pretty interesting. Shudderwalk is a game changer, and I'm putting the wild bet that Shudderwalk will be a tier 1 deck. Shaman Elementals continue to be I think. Next up, the Warlock cards. Witchwood Imp is a card that I seriously considered putting in Zoo, but ultimately I thought that there were better cards to put in, so I didn't end up putting Imp in my deck. I'm going to put it at 1 star. Dark Possession. That's a card people have been talking about as yet another card that can fit into Cube Warlock, since you just kill off your possessed cultist with it. But I think that's a little bit too specific, and discovering a demon is kind of terrible. So I'm rating this 1 star. Curse of Weakness, really unique effect. I thought this would be a pretty useful card, is maybe a one-of in the Cube Block deck. So I'm rating it a 4-star card. Ratcatcher, I originally thought this was going to be one of the best cards in the set, but maybe Tal'Darim and maybe Umbra are still just better than Ratcatcher. Anyways, I think Ratcatcher will be an interesting alternative, and I'm rating it 3 stars as a possibility for the Cube Block to go into. Dust Bat! I think that Zoo should run this card, and I'm rating it 3 stars because I think Zoo is going to be about tier 3. I don't think you should use Blood Witch with the cards that require that you take damage on a turn. It's just a bit too much work. So, 1 star. Fiendish Circle, 1 star. There's no demon synergy right now, it's 4 1/1s for 4. Deathweb Spider is an interesting card. I just think that Zoo might need that bit of healing at the end to recover, and a 4/6 lifesteal is pretty good. I was tempted to rate it a 1 star, but just seeing all the aggro out there, I was like, alright, fine, 2 stars. Then the Crowskin, I think, is a pretty good late game Zoo drop. Play it, and if you survive a turn, you can get a ridiculous amount of value by recasting any of your 1-cost cards for tremendous value. Try not to kill yourself with the Flame Imp, though. So 3 stars, I think Zoo is a tier 3 deck. And finally, Lord Godfrey. Often will just be a 7-mana 4/4 with a Twisting Nether effect that comes along with it that kills everything except Godfrey. 5 stars, run in your Cube Block deck, run in your Control Warlock deck. It's good. So all throughout my reviews, I was talking about, oh wow, another good card for Cube Block. And yeah, as it turns out, Cube Block gets a lot of great cards, but it only has so many deck slots that it can put in. So even though these cards are good, they might not actually make it in, other than Godfrey. Final class, Warrior. I thought this card reveal that I had of Town Crier was going to be one of the best cards in this set. And at the end of the day, when I was building my Warrior decks, I put in the Rush package, and the Rush package was looking pretty good. It didn't have anything else in it. So right now, Warrior's got the problem where the Rush package seems good, but there's nowhere to insert it into. For that reason, even though Town Crier is an amazing card, which I would normally rate 5 stars if Warrior had a viable deck, I'm gonna have to rate 3 stars for now. Gonna be way better in the future. Rush package good, but the other warrior cards just aren't there. Red Band Wasp, on the other hand, is just a bad rush card. Don't feel like you have to play all the rush cards in your rush deck. 1-star Wasp. Warpath certainly seems like a great card for the control warrior. Will there be a control warrior this time around? With Sleep with the Fishes rotating out, I'm not entirely sure. So Warpath, I'm rating a 2-star card just because I don't think control warrior is going to see play. I do think this is a great card though. Woodcutter's Axe, great card, yet again. So I'm rating Woodcutter's Axe 3 stars. Normally under any normal circumstance, probably a 5-star card, but in this expansion I don't expect warrior to be any more than a tier 3 deck. Rabid Worgen, I found that one of the problems with the Tempo Warrior deck is it's lacking 1-drops, 2-drops, and 3-drops. So while normally Rabid Worgen would probably be a 1-star card just because of the severe lack of 3-drops, I'm gonna give this a 2-star. Militia Commander, one of the cards that makes Rush Warrior great, and this is a great card. But given again that the Warrior deck seemed to be tier 3-ish, 3 stars for this one. Fester Root Hulk actually seems like a card that could be reasonable in a Tempo Warrior deck, but given the lack of 1 and 2 drops, and even 3 drops for Warrior, it's tough to get started with a board and then continue the board with a Fester Root Hulk. So this time around I'm gonna give it a 1-star card, but wouldn't be surprised if it actually saw play in a future expansion. Darius Crowley. Clear 5-star card, but no real deck that can support him at the moment. Interestingly enough, I actually think he might be good enough to fit into the Taunt Odd Warrior deck. So for that reason, I'm boosting this guy up to a 4-star card. Could be really good, protecting him behind taunts and just having him kill stuff and keep growing bigger and bigger. Deadly Arsenal just seems bad. Well, mostly because there's no support. You want to have an Arcanite Reaper Gorehowl pull with this, and then that means you're not running Blood Razor or the Woodcutter's Axe or the Fire War Axe. And that's pretty questionable, so 1 star. And finally, Black Howl Gunspire. Seems like you can do some pretty potentially crazy stuff with it, but it seems like it's just going to be memes. So 1 star. I feel like Warrior got a lot of great cards. Under normal circumstances where there was a Tempo Warrior or a Control Warrior, or any real good amount of Warrior to put all these rush cards in, I probably would have rated Darius Crowley, Militia Commander, Woodcutter's Axe, and Town Crier 5 stars. But due to me thinking that the cap on the Warrior this expansion is going to be tier 3, which is an improvement because it rotated out a lot of cards and still sticking in tier 3. Anyways, because there's not really other good Warrior cards, we're just gonna have to start with this, and the next expansion, you'll see the package being run with hopefully good Warrior cards. So that brings us to the Turbo Recap, where we're just gonna list all the cards and their star rating. Go. Splintergraft, 1 star. Bewitched Guardian, 3 stars. Duskfallen Aviana, 1 star. Gloomstag, 1 star. Whispering Woods, 3 stars. Forest Guide, 1 star. Ferocious Howl, 3 stars. Witching Hour, 1 star. Druid of the Scythe, 1 star. Witchwood Apple, 3 stars. Emrys, 1 star. Carrion Drake, 1 star. Vilebrood Skitter, 1 star. Dire Frenzy, 1 star. Wingblast, 4 stars. Houndmaster Shaw, 3 stars. Toxmonger, 2 stars. Duskhaven Hunter, 2 stars. Rat Trap, 1 star. Hunting Mastiff, 1 star. Toki, Time Tinker, 1 star. Bonfire Elemental, 3 stars. Curio Collector, 1 star. Arcane Keysmith, 3 stars. Vex Crow, 5 stars. Cinderstorm, 1 star. Black Cat, 4 stars. Book of Specters, 4 stars. Snap Freeze, 1 star. Archmage Aragol, 4 stars. Silver Sword, 1 star. Ghostly Charger, 2 stars. Prince Liam, 5 stars. Bellringer Sentry, 5 stars. The Glass Knight, 5 stars. Paragon of Light, 1 star. Rebuke, 2 stars. Sound the Bells, 1 star. Cathedral Gargoyle, 1 star. Hidden Wisdom, 1 star. Nightskull Matriarch, 2 stars. Coffin Crasher, 2 stars. Lady in White, 2 stars. Holy Water, 1 star. Glitter Moth, 1 star. Quartz Elemental, 1 star. Vivid Nightmare, 2 stars. Divine Hymn, 1 star. Squashling, 1 star. Chameleos, 5 stars. Teskray Main, 5 stars. Cursed Castaway, 3 stars. Spectral Cutlass, 1 star. Wanted, 1 star. Mistwraith, 1 star. Blink Fox, 5 stars. Cutthroat Buccaneer, 2 stars. Face Collector, 4 stars. Cheap Shot, 1 star. Pickpocket, 1 star. Shutterwalk, 5 stars. Hagatha the Witch, 3 stars. Bog Shaper, 1 star. Totem Cruncher, 1 star. Earthen Might, 2 stars. Ghostlight Angler, 1 star. Merkspark Eel, 1 star. Blazing Invocation, 1 star. Witch's Apprentice, 1 star. Zap, 3 stars. Lord Godfrey, 5 stars. Glinda, 3 stars. Deathweb Spider, 2 stars. Fiendish Circle, 1 star. Blood Witch, 1 star. Duskbat, 3 stars. Ratcatcher, 3 stars. Curse of Weakness, 4 stars. Dark Possession, 1 star. Witchwood Imp, 1 star. Black Howl Gunspire, 1 star. Deadly Arsenal, 1 star. Darius Crowley, 4 stars. Festerroot Hulk, 1 star. Militia Commander, 3 stars. Rabid Worgen, 2 stars. Woodcutter's Axe, 3 stars. Warpath, 2 stars. Red Band Wasp, 1 star. And Town Crier, 3 stars.